call the meeting to order. If everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. No. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, we ain't got there yet, but we may add that next year. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum present?
Yes, we do. Slim pickings.
Slim pickings, but you know, we're here. So first thing on the agenda is a review and approval of the minutes from our January 11th council meeting.
No changes in it, so I make a motion to read as accepted as written.
All right, so Stan has the first.
Yeah, I'll give you a second. Second?
You give a second? All right, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Under new business, we have the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement between Sharpsburg and Three Rivers. This is for our comprehensive plan. DCA, Department of Community Affairs, gives out money each year to the regional commissions in order for them to facilitate the comprehensive plan. Cities and towns have the opportunity to take advantage of the free services through DCA, or they can pay like Coweta County does at some other period. Pretty standard language. It's a 10-month agreement up until October 31st of 2021, which is when it is due. We won't get billed.
Why is it just 10 months?
Because I think we normally work from them with January to October.
Okay, because it's going from December to October. It starts off with our kickoff meeting that we had last month, and then goes through October, which is
What happens for November? Nothing?
correct. I'm sorry?
What happens for November? Nothing?
Nothing, because we'll be done with it by then. I hope to have it before council to consider it September, October.
I got a yes or no question.
Sure.
Are we under any obligation to include anything in our plan that dovetails with their plan for the region? Are we under any obligation?
Any obligation?
To do what now?
Obligation to adopt anything in our comprehensive plan to mirror what's in their plan? Because they have a plan that they have a scorecard on how the different communities, how they compare to theirs.
I would really like for Brad to give a definitive answer, but I do not think so. There is no requirement. They are a regional commission, which is just a planning commission. They do transportation, senior services, variety of different things. But no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You know me,
Mhm.
I'm suspicious
Mhm.
of the government.
Mhm. Yep.
Even though you are one.
Well, that's the best people that you want, are those that are suspicious of it.
Joseph Stalin was suspicious.
So basically, it outlines responsibilities of our responsibilities, their responsibilities, and termination. And we have a 30-day notice that we can get out of it.
What's the cost?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
That's my favorite part.
And you know, and it's really a smart thing that DCA has done is they set it up so small towns like us can take advantage of professional planners, and that's what Three Rivers does. Is they have a group of professional planners on staff. They will be one of the people that we consider when we look at our zoning ordinance and our zoning cleanup. They will be one of the people that we bring to the table to talk about helping us with that as well.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
All right, Stan has the first.
I'll second it.
Tom has the second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. All right, there is no old business before council. So I will jump to public comments. Mr. Thomas? Yes, sir. Tanner Thomas? Okay. He is a member of the public, wanted to speak with council tonight, so. Do you mind grabbing the? Yeah.
Business Sharpsburg. I'm a general contractor by trade. We build small stuff, big stuff. I was looking around at land around this area and noticed this 4 acres across the street from the Dollar General. So I talked to Blue about possibly purchasing it and just trying to get some movement on that, if that would be possible. I think it's zoned highway commercial right now, and like I said, I'm a resident of Sharpsburg. I'd like to see good things happen here. I grew up in Noonan for the most part, so very familiar with the area. Right now, it's just sitting there, not doing a whole lot, and I'd like to do something with it, absolutely. So I emailed Blue, and he said I'd come up here to speak tonight and try to get the ball rolling on something one way or another. I think the original email I'd offered about $140,000 for the property. I'd still want to do some soil tests. If y'all have soil tests, I don't know, to make sure the land is good. I kind of walked it a little bit. It seems kind of swampy in some areas. I just want to make sure that it's viable land to use. That's all I've got, really.
What do you want to do up there?
So I mentioned to Blue, there's a shortage of storage facilities locally. I've personally been on a waiting list of the one on 16 in Sharpsburg for almost 8 months at one point. I kind of have studied these types of businesses for a long time. So more or less, for right now, my idea would be to have a storage facility for boats and RVs, and then as I can get, clients or customers to park there, pay the monthly fee. I'd like to also sell, some propane. That seems like something that goes along with that, and then eventually start putting up, actual metal storage facility units, climate controlled, non-climate controlled. I'd like to make it look really nice and neat. Like I said, I'm a general contractor, so I'm very familiar with how to do that and do it efficiently. It's a great business in my eyes because you always need a place to store stuff. There's that large development going in 12 parks, 12 oaks.
12 parts.
They've got no driveways. They need places to store stuff. There's, I think, hundreds of houses going in right there, and that would be right around the corner. And there's just not enough of them. As Corona has hit us, stuff changes, businesses change, environments change. So I'd, be looking to purchase this land and kind of study the economics of what's going on. If, something changes, I can change with it. But that would be my original intentions.
How much you reckon you could stick in there? How many places, slots for boats and RVs?
So that's dependent on the soil test. If all 4 acres are good, hundreds, easily. Depends on what size of RV, what size of boat. But definitely hundreds just in the sheer parking.
Well, I was just thinking order of magnitude, dozens versus hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, more power to you.
Yeah.
And you stick the sheds after that, I mean, the metal buildings after that, after a
Correct.
while.
Correct.
Okay.
As I generated income from the
Okay.
parking, that would fund the construction for the metal storage units. It's 10 by 10, 5 by 5, 20 by 20s.
Yeah, so you fence it.
Yep. Fence it, gate access, security cameras, very safe environment. You want to park your big RV there, that's the place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. park my RV in there and wire it up and stay there.
We could work something out.
Yeah, he may need a doghouse.
Home away from home.
You almost know something I don't know.
I was just kidding.
Okay. Would you have to stick a bathroom in there?
So the bathroom would be in like the office facility, but that's
Yeah.
it, just for,
That's what I mean, you'd have an office?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why I think otherwise. Okay.
Yeah, we'd have some sort of office manager that would tend to the property. In my instances, you pretty much have a maintenance guy come and go as they please to fix stuff, and then just one person on site just to run the books and help customers with any issues or lease places, basically.
I guess it'd be a place you can store your equipment too.
That's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
They did this down in Harrelson when they started building that up, and that place is just slap full. I mean, you can't squeeze another item in there. Even the place down in 16, they were so full, they've extended that whole little quarter-acre lot that they have. It's slap full too. It's just a
Yeah, I've seen that. I noticed some activity down there.
well, if you live in a neighborhood with HOA, you're just not allowed to park that stuff there. It's got to go somewhere. You know, your boat, your RV, they don't want to see it out on the driveway all the time. I mean, there's definitely places for this.
Yeah. I wonder if 12 Oaks or 12 Parks has got some sort of HOA would block.
You know, I don't know.
I'm sure as
I'm
small as
sure
those
most of
lots
them
are,
do.
Yeah, they almost have to.
yeah, as small as those lots are, they're not gonna allow an RV.
Yeah, I mean, it's a, Lindsay
Park on the side of the
development,
street.
they follow all the same rules, they want it nice and pretty. You can't park on the street. You can't build, you can build a two-car garage there, but it's all approved by the HOA, has to look by your house. I mean, they don't have the lot on the land to produce that on the property.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do we got to do?
For what? To consider it?
Yeah.
We would have to go into executive session to discuss the purchase or
estate.
sale of it. We would have to, I'd like to check with Brad about the procedure for doing this, because, currently, obviously, the land is not currently for sale. I don't know what action will be required by council to put it up for sale. I do think that there would be a higher and better use for that lot. And no offense to the business model, because he's right, it makes sense. There probably is a lack of them. Just with that location across from Dollar General and at the tail end of those 6 or 7 soon-to-be commercial lots, I'd like to see that as an anchor for the end of a commercial development from McIntosh Trail all the way up to Dollar General. And retail, O&I, some kind of service business over there, and maybe perhaps having some storage in the back of it, but I would like to look into it a little bit more before we decide anything.
Well, not only that, but we're missing our turning too,
Mhm.
council
Yes.
members.
Yeah.
Well,
and-
it's not, we just allowed him to come and there's public
Mhm.
speaking, we
Yeah.
did put him on the
Yeah, yeah,
agenda.
yeah, yeah.
It would have to be, follow, certain protocols, so, we definitely need to, consult with our town
Mhm.
attorney.
Absolutely. The point of today was just to, present myself and try to, like I said, get the ball rolling one way or another.
Mhm. Right.
In my experience with commercial development, you've got the Dollar General there. It's gonna take a couple more things to really
Mhm.
pop the ball to get stuff coming here.
Mhm.
So I'm number 2, if possible, then you get your
Mhm.
big heavy hitters behind that.
Mhm.
Dollar Generals and tourists they say, if you see an anthill in a field, don't step on it, it's gonna turn into a Dollar General. That's what they do, right? But your big,
Right.
Your big corporation, your big this, big that, they're not gonna plop there until something else is developed, someone else has done the work for them.
Mhm. Right. And thinking of, and meeting that critical mass, I think is something that Sharpsburg has always needed. One of the things that we want to do for that whole particular stretch is to pull a sewer line down. And in order to do that, we're gonna need those companies that can invest in the capacity charge. And I don't know if a bathroom for just one person at the storage facility would be enough to help get the sewer line down there.
They're just dropping a septic for me, whenever that comes, it comes.
Yeah, and we would rather it come sooner than later, because Dollar General has had, at least 3 instances of their septic system backing up, because like you found over there, there's a ridge that Highway 54 rides on, but everything else goes that way and that way. So they've already had 2 or 3 issues where their septic system has fallen out, failed, yes, basically. And so we're hoping to have a sewer line pulled up there, and that way Dollar General, if they wanted to, could expand if they wanted to, but then that also provides service for any commercial or other stuff on the other side of the street. So, there are lots of moving parts, but, we'll bring it before full council.
Well, this, what he's talking about doing wouldn't preclude some sort of development there 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Right,
It wouldn't.
yes, correct.
That's because something I mentioned the other day, a lot of people will build these things in anticipation of other development, that, basically it's just a way to get some income on a piece of property.
Right.
So. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily be looking at that piece of property 50 years from now and it'd still be a parking lot.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, it'd be something else. You develop it, it'd be crazy not to develop it into something that makes more money for you.
I'm open-minded,
Or sell it to somebody.
I'm a businessman, so whatever makes sense.
Well, we definitely need more business here,
Yes.
and
Yep.
we're hoping to get something that's going to make us, put us on the map. We want people to
And-
visit.
And that's another concern. And as a builder, I'd love to pick your brain, because for us, if we have one business on those 4 acres, then that's one occupational tax certificate. If we have not a strip center, but we have a retail center, then that's multiple businesses inside that 4 acres, and it would bring the town, more economic development, and also bring in a little bit more revenue, even though we don't get a whole lot off our occupational tax.
Right.
Every little bit helps. We did about $8 million in Sharpsburg last year.
Sure.
And if we can bring in 3 or 4 more businesses on those 4 acres versus the one, hopefully it would increase.
I understand that. Once again, it's got to be there for those 4 or 5 businesses to ever get there.
Correct.
Down the road. So the more it gets developed, the more likely other businesses will come in to pay revenue their way.
Right.
Right now, we're just sitting in woods and water.
Yep.
And the anthill that became the
And
dog.
anthill. Yep.
Well, hopefully, when 12 Park starts building, when we
That-
start seeing some infrastructure changes along that corridor,
Right.
that's when people will start bringing in and coming in, and hopefully wanting to plot down and start a business. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something green.
Ching ching.
Like I said, I'm a resident of Sharpsburg. I love Sharpsburg. I love this downtown area. I'd love to see it just become something big and grand. I'd love to be a part of that. So that'd be my contribution to get it started, jump-started for other stuff to come here. Like you said, it might not be a parking lot in 50 years, Some larger development might come in, buy me out, and there's your tax rate.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is that back of that property will back up to 12 Parks right in the back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we have an opportunity, if we do a commercial stretch, we could do some interconnections with 12 Parks. And that's one of the things we've had conversations with the developers about, the walking trails, paths, and then also interconnectivity to any commercial that butts up to it.
Sure. If the numbers make sense, so let's just hypothetically say I had 4 acres, develop what I could, and if there's another viable business that want to come in, cool. Not a big deal.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a businessman. I'm here, to support the community, make some money. So
Okay. And if you would like, one thing that we can do is we can set up a time and sit down and talk just about some of the strategic vision. You've got the
Sure.
comprehensive plan that we're in the process of now of deciding, what direction we're going to take over the next. It's a 5-year update, but it's a 40-year plan.
Gotcha.
So, but we would love to have additional voices in the strategic discussions, because the more general contractors and businessmen that we have, the more opportunities I think that it'll bring.
Sure.
All right, do we have any other questions? So unfortunately, there's really no action to take tonight,
Understood.
but, we can continue the conversation.
Okay. I think I've been emailing a couple of you guys, so if you have any questions for me or the next step, I'd be Take it there. So,
Do what now? Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. That's what it sounded like.
Car, I'm sorry.
What?
A 5.0, did you hear that?
That car?
Engine, yeah.
alrighty, guys.
Appreciate
All
you
right,
coming.
thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Will you
Um,
reach back out and let me know what your, maybe we can set up a date and time to
Sure.
meet?
Absolutely.
All
Awesome.
right, so
Yes.
next portion, thank you, Mr. Thomas, we appreciate you coming. Next part is gonna be polling of council. Stan has something on here, so I'm gonna kind of give the floor over to him.
Well, we talked about it, I can't remember which meeting, it was either November or December, about rebidding, sending out bids for trash
Mhm.
services.
Mm-hmm.
And, 'cause I called Dana and they done tore my trash can up. I don't know what they do, but
Mhm.
the top's off and I'm not the only one, next door neighbors is off too, so.
Mm-hmm.
When is the contract up with them?
It's been up for quite some time. We've got several contracts actually that need to be worked on, and Blue and I just talked about that, last week. And we're going to get there's no telling what kind of information that we have to gather before we can send an RFP out. So once I get that information, I'm hoping I can move on that sometime in end of February, end of March, or in March. So I'll let you know.
'Cause I don't know, we've had these people for a while, and I don't know if we just automatically just renew it without bidding it out. or
Well,
what.
when I came on board in 2018, I think everything had expired from the past administrations, and we've just allowed them to continue. So there's several things that we need to rebid.
But
I think
before,
that's one of them.
it absolutely is, but before we do that, we need to have a pretty firm procurement policy. Procurement is one of those things that we just simply haven't addressed yet, because there wasn't a huge pressing need, and it's gonna be, it could be a heavy lift, but we're gonna start working on it, and then as soon as we can get the bid process outlined, we can go ahead and put it out.
Yeah.
But the contract right now is period to period, it's year to year, with is it a 2%, 3.2%?
3%.
3% increase each year, and it's
DPI?
CPI, Consumer
CPI,
Price
that's right,
Index, so it's
CPI.
tied into that. And it's certainly not a bad deal, and they certainly have been good partners. However, there have been some service issues that we've had to work out over the years. I know there have been semi-regular customer complaints that kind of ebb and flow, just like any business, but it's time to bid it out. And now that we've got several years under our belts, now's the time to take it on.
Well, I mean, they may still be the low bid,
Correct.
but, at least they know we're looking at
Yes.
somebody else.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. So that's the next step, is we're gonna work on the procurement policy. Once we get that in place, then we can release it for bid.
Do y'all feel like we're worth their while?
Yes,
Yes.
I do.
Okay, I think so.
We have a good rapport with them.
Mhm.
We can't help what the drivers do.
Mhm.
They're totally separate than who we deal with as admin.
Mhm.
We've had some good feedback from them. If I need something done, they respond immediately to me. However, the drivers, I think they have a big turnaround with them, and that's all I can say about
Must
that.
be the wind.
It may be the wind, because it is kicking up
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah, that's 4.0.
Yeah.
so.
I mean, that's just something, that's all I had, just something we need to take a look at.
Yeah,
Okay.
we definitely have to work on a procurement policy. There's nothing outlined at
Yeah.
all here.
And
So-
and I'll be honest, and we probably could have slapped something up on the website and thrown it up just to get it up and get it done, but if we're gonna
We're gonna do it right.
do it right. This is the foundation, this is one of those foundational things that can really, and this is my day job. Procurement is one of the things that I do, and if we don't have a good policy in place, it could hurt us. So I'd rather talk to some of the towns and learn from some of their experiences and try to craft something that's really gonna serve us.
There are other companies out there.
Did you ever get the addresses straight with them?
Yes, yes, we
Really?
did.
What'd
Yes,
you find out?
exactly your findings. 8, they were billing
Yep.
us 8 that we didn't know.
8 extra
We didn't
cans.
have cans.
Really?
I mean, we didn't have addresses for it. So they took them off our bill. They actually credited us for about 7, 8 months. And, we were below budget last year, so.
I mean, they were charging us for trash cans?
Well, what happened was last March, they started charging us for 8 extra ones. So when I Cause each year they go up 3% in July, so whenever our 3% came, I called and said, what's going on? Well, it took me until November for us to get all the addressing, they had to go back and do an inventory. Do you know how hard that is? So Tom did all of the rooftops and came up with all the addresses, and there were 8 that he couldn't identify from that list. So those were the 8 that they billed us for, so they credited our account and took them off and moving forward. And the problem is, if I call and say, hey, we have a damaged can at this address, don't bill us for another one, you're replacing that can, so
Right.
there was some issues going on. I think they've had some personnel changes too, so.
And also the families requested a second can on us.
And we don't do that.
Yeah.
We
And-
supply one, the family then has to call
Mhm.
GFL and set up an account and purchase their own per month. We don't pay for a second can.
Well, this is one of the services we got going a few years ago to get the SPOS money,
Mhm.
Right, right.
so.
The SPOS money or the
Yes.
taxes?
No, SPOS.
Oh,
That
right.
was one of the 3 services that we provided in order to qualify for the
Okay, that's
SPOS.
right,
Yeah.
that's
SPOS,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
That, library, and something else we had,
Zoning.
Water.
water.
I think it's water,
Water.
the partnership through Cheer.
Okay.
Yep.
Todd, I'll wait on my turn.
Okay,
I'm
well,
through.
yeah, if yeah.
It dovetails, we ought to let people know, either through your website or letters or whatever, of how to handle, yard trash.
Mhm.
Because Joel sent a Bobcat in.
I saw the pilot there
Well,
this morning.
his resident called to ask for a debris pickup, and they went out there, and it has to be cut
Cut
in
up.
4-foot
Yeah.
sections. It will not pick up.
Oh, I
So
understand.
that big pile that's next to you, they refused to pick it up, and I let her know. She was supposed to call Joe to let him know. He knows.
Well, I went over there and the family was there before, I went over there and cut it up for them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
she's an elderly lady.
Yeah.
She said she's over 65, she can't manage it.
Well, on a good day, would you go over there and slice
Okay,
it up
but
in 4
you need to
foot?
let people know that,
Yeah.
just let them know.
Well,
Mhm.
we do
Yeah.
when they call us.
Well, they don't call until there's a problem, if the stuff's been sitting there for 3 weeks, nobody picked it up.
I noticed there was some on Tarrentine right before you get to, Kathleen Roads too, over there. Did you see that big pile?
That's part of Joe's stuff, we
Okay.
kinda we added to that too.
There's some outside of,
Well, it kinda goes along with the ordinance thing we were talking about last time. You just need to let people know.
some outside
Something
of
like
Holly's
that.
house too, broken chair and a pile.
Yeah, usually when I see that, she's working for a pickup and she'll call me to schedule it. But yeah, we actually have, Brandy, she's gonna be working on a newsletter to go out soon from the
Okay.
library, and we'll make sure to put something about that.
Mhm.
But he knows, he's been here for how long?
Oh, no, but Polly does it, and, not necessarily limbs and stuff, but she puts trash out.
Yes,
Extraordinary.
yeah.
And the people that moved down, next to the library, they've put a lot of stuff out.
Yes.
And I noticed tonight, a lot of the stuff fell out of the trash can is piled up on the side of the road across the street.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. I meant to go out there today and get it, but
Yeah, I was gonna do it, but
yeah,
Yeah, behind,
I've always got a carload of
David's.
raw chicken when I
Yes.
see it.
yeah,
I want to go back to the grocery store.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
That's all. One other thing too, are we gonna take down those Christmas?
Yes, I need to get Dina and I talked about the 10-foot ladder earlier today. I was gonna get her to buy one that we could keep here, but we don't have a way to get it from the Home Depot over to here. So I'm gonna need to get your 10-foot ladder over this week or next weekend to pull those down.
A good Saturday afternoon project too, we need to look at those brackets on the poles
Mm-hmm.
and maybe get some dowels that'll fit them.
Yep.
And that'll really give you
Okay.
a lot more option
Yes.
next year.
And I'll be honest, once we get the measurements,
They expand.
Hmm?
Those poles, there's a button you push and it expands like a curtain rod.
Well,
'Cause
I was talking about the diameter.
I measured everything when I ordered them.
Well, I'm just saying, we've got brackets, old brackets that are wired to the telephone poles. These
Not the light
are
poles,
mounted on
Not
the
the
new
poles,
poles.
not the poles.
Not the ones you're talking
No.
That you put through the flag.
Correct, no.
Okay.
We have the light poles that have their own brackets, which are the measurements that I gave you, that were maybe not the most accurate. But then we also have brackets on the telephone poles that are just wire, and it's just a
It's
thing
like a
that sits like
flagpole,
that.
Okay.
So,
different diameter.
mhm.
And that's, we can go get a dowel of some kind and
Yeah.
then really expand what we can put up.
But I'll be honest, if I'm gonna climb up a 10-foot ladder and take a flag down, while I'm up that ladder, I sure wouldn't mind putting another flag up. So if we could order some 4-season banners, that might not be a bad thing to do. Or maybe 2-season banners. I don't know if I wanna get up there 4 times a year.
Make
But
it easy
maybe
on
order
yourself.
some additional banners that just say, "Welcome to Sharpsburg."
Yeah.
But don't use the same measurements that we've got. Let me get some better ones once I'm up there.
Yeah, and you might want to get enough to where you've got, maybe you don't put them everywhere you've got the lamp post brackets, but, you put some up there and then you put some on the telephone poles. So you've got a good spread, because right now they're all
Agreed.
just jammed in one little area.
So we
Yeah.
ordered 9, we had 9 sets of poles.
Mhm.
So how many do you think you'd want to order?
We'll have to go up there and look and figure
Because
and
there's a
count. and
quantity
think.
discount.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I don't think they're interchangeable. I think it's just it's two different things.
Yeah, there's gonna be it's gonna be 2 different ones. And then the Christmas ones, we'll just have to, re-engineer to get those to fit next year.
All right, you let me know, and
We can get it done.
You've got a lot of those brackets up there. There are a lot
Yeah,
of
we do.
Stretched
Yeah, we
out
do.
up and down Tarrentine and
Mhm.
Main Street.
On the telephone poles,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I've only seen the ones up here at the 4 corners at the intersection, but I hadn't really looked at the others.
Yeah, whenever we were putting those flags up, I noticed them along the other places. All right, cool, that's all I had.
All right, so moving on to clerk's minutes, Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything. I do. I sent everybody out their financial disclosure forms for elections. I'm not sure if, Tom's already brought me his, but I need everybody
Yeah.
else's.
When is that due?
It's due June the 1st, but I'd like to go ahead
Yeah.
and get them and submit them all at one time. Julie and I have to actually watch a webinar because we have to submit them to the Secretary of State's office different this year, so I'm waiting to get all of those at once.
Okay.
Who has to do it?
You have to do
You
it.
send it out?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I emailed it a couple of weeks ago, I think. I'll send it back out to you.
What I do is print it off and bring it up there?
Yes, sir.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so mayor's updates. We have had a little bit of movement and a little bit of information on the back parking lot. We had the county out here week and a half ago, and they looked at it, and they have given us a timeline. They're working up the quote now, to the actual dollar amount of the quote. The timeline is gonna be hopefully sometime between September and October for them to come out here and reconstruct the parking lot. He says it ought to go pretty quick once they get started. Dina, did I tell you a number of days that they would be back there? I want to say it's less than a couple of weeks. It's a very short time frame, assuming no weather delays and everybody can be lined up. One of the things that they did recommend, based on us getting the Beckham property, which is still,
We have to discuss that.
okay.
In executive.
Okay,
session.
executive session, okay, good. So once that transaction is complete, they recommended taking the detention pond, and, this is the lot, and remember the detention pond kind of did like this with the playground right here. They recommended taking the detention pond and rotating it just slightly to take advantage of the low part of the Beckham property back here, which would shrink the detention pond down some and give us more room for the playground, between the playground and the container. So ISE is looking at that. Once they get the drawings back to the county, they said the changes aren't gonna change the material cost very much, but they will have to update it slightly. That should be in probably in the next week or so, and then they can then get the estimate over to the county to start doing it and putting it within their schedule. Other than possibly some redesign fees, it should not raise the construction costs, which we haven't gotten an official quote from them yet. The ballpark quote for ISE was like 278, 280. The county will drop that some, so we should still be below the numbers that we've been throwing around for the last 2 or 3 months. But it is going to take a little bit of a redesign to take advantage of the property back there. And then as I get more information on that, of course, I'll bring it up to you. Procurement policy, we've already talked a little bit about that. We're going to start working on procurement. The other big thing that is coming up is our LMIG grant, Local Mileage Improvement Grant. Each year, DOT throws out some money to municipalities to do local mileage improvement. Sidewalks, storm drains, just anything. There's a certain set of things that you can do and a certain set of things that you can't do. One of the things that you can do is sidewalks. So once I get a firm number on how much LMIG money, because we've been saving it for 3 years, we spent about $1,600 out of 2019. We have met our match, and then that will allow us to combine the remainder of 19, 20, and then 21. We can not petition, but we can apply to have all those years combined and then do one specific project. My idea would be to do sidewalks. Councils, public input, we can decide where they want to go, but I would recommend that we do sidewalks. Either from Tarrentine down to Church, or from Main and Tarrentine down towards Richards, or if we want to do Main down to the Beckham's property. I don't care. I would just like to see more sidewalks put in place. We could even do it on Williams Circle if we wanted to. But I would like to use some of the LMIG as seed money to do the sidewalks. It's not going to pay for all of it, but it'll probably be we got probably about $16,000, $17,000. And if we use that, and we have to come up with a 30% match, which is already in our budget. It was in 19, 20, and it's in our 21 budget contingencies, or in our grant budget line item. So we've got the money applied for, or we got the money spoken for. We're getting it from the state. We just need to decide where we want to use it. Now, if council doesn't want to do sidewalks, I'll be more than happy to provide the list of all the things that you can do with it, and then we can just make a decision as a group.
Well, I tell you, at this point in time, it might be premature to even talk about it, but it makes a lot of sense to use that money to extend the sidewalk down in front of Beckham's if you're going to buy Beckham's.
Mm-hmm.
And fix the
Yes.
the sidewalk that we've been talking about fixing for 2 years.
That's going to be part of the parking lot. I'm going to make sure that because we're going to have to bid out the concrete work ourselves for the trash pad, for the curb and gutters, and for the curbing out there. So we're going to have to bid out the concrete, the county will bid out the concrete for us, and we will include that in the specs.
So that'll be part of your back.
That's how I'd like to do it. That's how I'd like to do it.
Well, it still makes sense to go ahead and use that money to expand the
Now-
sidewalk from Beckham's. If you're going to get, you're going to get Beckham's.
To another thing to keep in mind is if we do this, if we provide the septic connection up here, that will involve putting a storage tank up there. If we have to put a storage tank, we'll have to put it in the right of way. If we put it in the right of way, we'll have to tear up the sidewalk. If we're going to tear up the sidewalk up here, I would like to have a conversation about on-street parking and how to reimagine the sidewalks up there to improve on-street parking, especially if we have a septic connection and get businesses open and whatnot back here. We're going to need more. We need more parking in town anyway, and on-street parking may be an option along Main Street.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all, but LMIG money's $14,000, $17,000. They ain't gonna pay for much of that.
I know.
No.
You are absolutely correct. But that's just something I want council to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 3 or 4 things that we can do. And there's a 3-year limit on the LMIG money, which is why 2019, the leftover part of 2019 is, I'd like to have a plan with it because they will take it back
Yeah.
from us if we don't spend it, so.
We've done some work at Sunset and Haynes Trail. We really need to talk about Williams Circle again, to get around Tony Brown's area. That
Yep.
culvert and stuff, that's got to be repaired.
Yeah, and that is part of the DOT work, and
Yep.
that would be a request through DOT. But
Okay.
yes, you're right, that's, the drainage work that we've done over the last little bit is what is the LMIG, 2019 LMIG has gone towards. So we need to do some planning on that.
At the street in front of Tony's,
I'm sorry?
Yes.
at the street in front of Tony's.
By Williams Circle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of the areas identified that has a drainage problem that we've been working to correct. That specific one hadn't been fixed yet because it's a DOT.
It's a DOT, not a
Because
county.
there's only so much that Tony can do, because he's already trenched it to where the water would run off and go down, but we've got another low spot on the south side of the north end of Williams Circle, right there at Tony's spot, where it's real low, and he can't do anything with it, and we would have to go through DOT to do it, so that'll be the next, probably, other than the comprehensive plan and some of the strategic discussions, that's probably gonna be the next project decided by council, is what we wanna do with that LMIG. And there's 3 or 4 things that we can do with it, but one of the things that jumped out to me immediately was sidewalks. Dina, was there anything else that I needed with, LMIG? I'm sorry, with the mayor's minutes?
No, I think that's up. That's good.
Okay. That being said, if we don't have anything else from clerk, council, or the public, I'd like to get a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, I move we go into executive session.
All right. Tom has the first, Stan has the second. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. All right, we'll just step back here real quick.
Yeah, we do a motion to accept whatever we do
Oh,
in
okay.
executive session.
Well,
Then we have to
after-
have a motion to close executive session.
All right, so if I can get a motion to come into regular session?
Motion.
All right. Stan has the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Unanimous, thank you. We've re-entered regular session. I'd like to have a motion for council to approve the purchase of the, I need to close the executive session first.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That's what we just did?
We
Okay.
just made a motion
Um,
to close executive session.
So I'd like to get a motion from council to agree to the Beckham family's counter offer,
Stipulations?
and then accept their
I make a
offer.
motion we accept Beckham's family's counter offer.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else I need to do to?
Nope, that's it. We've got a
Okay.
motion to enter into executive, a closed executive, and to approve the stipulations.
Perfect. Thank you all
I's
very.
are dotted and T's are crossed.
Yep.
Okay, so that concludes new business, old business, public comments, polling of council, clerk and mayor's updates, executive session, and if we don't have any other business
I'll
before.
make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Dina, you looked at me, was there anything I need to do?
Nope, that's
All right,
good.
Too late.
all in favor, motion approved, thank you.
I need